Have you ever watched a manager's own rule backfire on them? About 4 years ago, I started a new banking job in Europe. On paper, it looked like a solid move, similar back office work to what I'd done before. But right away, I noticed something was different. Management here was rigid about timekeeping. Your hours were 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., no exceptions. In my previous bank, also in Europe, things were more relaxed. If you stayed late, you got time in lieu, meaning you could take time off later to balance out the overtime. It was a fair trade, and nobody minded pitching in when things got busy. But at this new place, overtime wasn't paid, and there was no lieu time. You just gave your hours for free. Still, I played along. I came in on time, learned the systems, and got on with the team. The work itself wasn't difficult, but there was one problem. My senior manager couldn't stand me. I'm an assertive person. I ask questions in meetings, I suggest improvements, I challenge bad processes. My teammates usually stayed quiet, but I wasn't like that. And every time I spoke up, I could see the irritation on his face. He wanted silence and obedience, not initiative. The breaking point came one Friday. That week, I'd already worked close to 4 hours of unpaid overtime, including nearly 2 hours late on Thursday night. On Friday, with my manager off and my work wrapped up, I slipped out 10 minutes early, just 10 minutes. Monday morning, I walked in and got called straight into a meeting. Both my manager and senior manager were waiting. My manager said, "I heard you left early Friday." I replied, "Yes, 10 minutes early." He asked, "Did you ask permission?" I reminded him about the overtime I'd put in that week, but the senior manager cut me off. His tone was sharp. "Your working hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., not 9 to 5:50. You do not leave early without permission. Is that clear?" I looked him in the eye and said, "Got it. Perfectly clear." From that day on, I followed their rule to the letter. No flexibility, no team player overtime. I arrived at 9 a.m. sharp and left at 6 p.m. sharp. Not a minute more, not a minute less. At first, nobody noticed. But then came the end of the month. And anyone who's worked in banking knows that's when the real chaos begins. Reports from multiple jurisdictions had to be finalized, signed off, and submitted. We covered Southeast Asia in the mornings and the Americas in the evenings, so the work naturally stretched late into the night. Overtime wasn't just expected, it was demanded, though never written down. The last Friday of the month arrived. I walked in at exactly 9 a.m., coffee in hand. Most of the team had already been at their desks for an hour or more. My manager gave me a look, but he didn't say a word. I worked steadily through the morning. When it was time for my paid break, I took it. 20 full minutes away from my desk. Everyone else powered through. Same at lunch. I went out and met my friends, while my colleagues ate hunched over their keyboards. Afternoon break, another stroll outside. By the end of the day, I could feel the tension in the air. My team was frazzled, rushing to hit deadlines, while I stayed calm, doing things strictly by the book. At 5:45 p.m., I was on a call with a senior manager in the U.S., amending a report. 4 of us were on the line, still ironing out details. She was mid-sentence when the clock ticked to 6. I cut in, "Apologies, but I have to stop you right here. It's 6 p.m. here, and my day is over. As per my management, my working hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., so I must leave now. Have a great weekend. We'll pick this up Monday." The silence that followed was glorious. The U.S. manager stammered. My colleagues froze, and my manager and senior manager, sitting nearby, looked like ghosts, pale, speechless, utterly stunned. I shut down my computer, logged off, grabbed my coat, wished everyone a good weekend, and walked out. It was 6:04 p.m. I considered turning around and joking, "Sorry I didn't leave exactly at 6, but I decided against it. Better to let the image of me walking out sink in." After that, everything changed. I never worked more than 30 minutes of overtime again, and ironically, once stakeholders realized I wasn't going to be their free labor into the night, they adjusted. Reports started arriving earlier in the month, collaboration improved, and by the last day, I often had everything submitted already. In Europe, we also have strong employment laws against constructive dismissal, so I knew management's hands were tied. They couldn't fire me for following their own rules. And I'll admit, there was a certain satisfaction in knowing that by being strict with the rules, I ended up forcing the whole system to work more efficiently. They told me my hours were 9 to 6, and that's exactly what they got. Nothing more, nothing less.